Hey everyone, this is Pete. Welcome back to Atari ST A to Z, a series of short playthroughs of Atari ST games, some of which I grew up with and some of which are new to me. Today is one of the former. This is Interphase by the Assembly Line, published by Imageworks and Mirrorsoft in 1989-1990. This is a really cool game that I had a lot of fun with back in the day. It's also quite a complex game, so easiest thing to do is to basically explain it as we go along. So let's jump right in with our full motion video intro. Okay, so here we are. This is a 3D game, which is exciting. Full filled in polygonal 3D. Also some quite advanced effects going on in here. So you can see things like the bars and the pipes in this corridor. They've got some shading on them. It's making use of dithering to simulate the tunnel going off into darkness in the background. So yeah, very cool. Oh, excuse me. Anyway, the concept of this game is you are Chad. You are the Chad, if you will. Chad is a dreamer. A dreamer is someone who has dreams and records them and then sells them so other people can enjoy them, because the future. Now Chad has been rather dismayed to discover that his latest dream that he sold to the Dreamtrack Corporation has been infused with some rather malicious subliminal messages. Obviously not wishing to be associated with that sort of behaviour, Chad decides to infiltrate the Dreamtrack Corporation in collaboration with his girlfriend Kaf-E, the virgin Kaf-E, if you will, and put a stop to all this mess. And so the way you do this is you control Chad, and Chad is using the power of his mind to jack into cyberspace, because early 90s. And what you're seeing here is an abstract representation of the electronic systems of the Dreamtrack Corporation building, and this is the only thing you have direct control over. So you control Chad by sort of flying around. You use the mouse control, so you've got this very nice sort of analog control as you fly around. It's very sensitive though. ST's mouse wasn't particularly well known for being a very sensitive device, but they kind of overcompensated a little bit for that here in Interphase, so you need quite a delicate touch. But yeah, it is quite satisfying to swoop around and fly around things and so on. Now, Chad can't do much by himself, because all he's doing is floating around inside the electronic systems. Kaf-E is the one who's actually infiltrating the building. So to see what she's up to, you can click this message button to see what she's got to say. So she's reached a door, which we need to open for her. But before we do that, it's worth having a scan of the blueprint of the whole level, because there may be some things you need to bear in mind. So Kaf-E is up here at the moment. She's this green triangle, and the aim in each level is pretty simple. All you need to do is find the lift up and get there. So at the moment Kaf-E is stuck at this door, but as soon as she goes through it, she'll go down this corridor, she'll go down here, she'll go through this security clearance area and into the lift. Pretty simple. However, this red dot here is a security droid. We do not want to be caught by that, because that will mean an immediate game over. So if we survey this corridor here, we'll see that there is a security camera in the corner, and there is another security camera a little bit further down the corridor. So the solution to this is not what you might think. It's not destroy both security cameras, because if you do that, Kaf-E will wander into the security clearance area and she'll wander straight into the security robot who's still standing there. Instead, what you do is you destroy this first one, you leave this second one, so Kaf-E triggers it. The security robot will proceed up this corridor here, Kaf-E will proceed down this corridor here, and never the twain shall meet. I'll show you what I mean. So we'll set our navigation to this security camera in the corner. You then follow the arrow, which may involve flying through the holes in the floor and ceiling. And then to deactivate the security camera, you blow it up. So if we now look at that, that camera is now off. Now, as I said, we want to leave the other security camera active. So I'm going to set a course for that door that Kaf-E is currently locked behind, which is convenient as it's on the same level here. And again, to open the door, blow it up. Now, we then observe what happens. Kaf-E will put along down this corridor. Nothing will happen when she reaches this first security camera because it's deactivated. So if you keep an eye on our robot friend down in the corner, you'll see that as she reaches that northeast corner, nothing happens, which is good. She will then proceed to the south, down the corridor, and past the camera that is still active. That's bad, right? See, the security robot is now on his way. However, what you may be able to determine is that with the timing of their movement, they won't actually bump into each other. And security robots don't have much in the way of sort of actual intelligence of their own. So, despite the fact that he should technically be able to see her there, he will still just proceed up the corridor to go and see what happened with the camera. We can then let Kaf-E through this door. And proceed on our merry way. So another door for her there. We can preemptively open that for her. You don't have to wait for her to get there. And then we wait. A lot of waiting in this game. So she's proceeding down this corridor. Around the bend. Through the door. And into the lift. And so the last thing you need to do on each level is to activate the lift for her. As soon as she stands on the pad here. There we go. Now, if at any point you're not sure what 3D object in Chad's electronic world represents the thing you're supposed to be interacting with, you can press this info button here and it will show you what it is. So for the elevator here, we need to look for this portal. So I'll set a navigation for that. And proceed on our way. Or crash into the ceiling. Also good. There we go. And that is level 1 done and dusted. So there are 12 levels in this altogether, I believe. They get increasingly complicated as you go with sort of various different routes and more different puzzle elements along the way and more interlocking parts. I'll just show you the next level rather than spoiling the whole thing, because 1, that will take ages, and 2, I've never finished this game before, so I don't know how to do the later levels. I do know how to do this level though. So you see each level has its own distinct aesthetic for Chad's world as well, which kind of mixes things up nicely, keeps things interesting. Let us look at the map. So this time around we have a new object to deal with. This is a turntable. Turntables have a couple of purposes. One, they tell Kaf-E which way to go. And two, they also tell security robots which way to go. So at the moment, if we tell Kaf-E to go this way, which is what we want to do, she will first of all run into this, which is a pressure pad. That will activate the robot guard. The robot guard will then run into this turntable, which will send it in the direction of Kaf-E and capture her. Undesirable, I'm sure you'll agree. So, what we need to do is send that robot somewhere else. Now, up here would make the most sense. So, there's something on this junction as well, which is another turntable. So, we could send the robot this way, which will take him into the conference area. Although, that does also link to the lift. So, that carries the risk of Kaf-E running into him on her way out. So, we could also send him to the north. And there's something in the corridor to the north. Oops, don't press the right button, that locks in on Kaf-E. There is a high voltage electrified floor there. Now if Kaf-E stands on that, as you can probably imagine, she will die. So you don't want that to happen. However, if security robots stand on that, they will also die. So, what we do, we set course for the turntable, which looks like this sort of blue diamond thing. And we go and interact with it. Now, when you have to interact with something that is more than a simple on-off thing, like the doors or the cameras, instead of shooting it, you use the dock function. Oh, unicycling frogs are surprisingly dangerous in this game. So yeah. So we've now set that to point upwards. We do the same with this one. Or repeatedly crash into the floor and lose even more energy. That's excellent. Right. Turntable. There we are. Ow. Dock with this one as well. Set that pointing upwards as well. Try not to laugh at the rather phallic nature of it. Now this thing over here as well we can also dock with to get some energy back. That's probably a good idea right now. There we are, fighting fit. Right. What we then do is hope that we don't get killed by a unicycling frog, and we tell Kaf-E to head off in the direction she's already facing. Which we do again by finding a turntable. But if it's already facing the right direction, all you need to do is dock with it and then leave again. We can then observe what happens. So she'll step on the pressure pad, which will activate the robot. She'll then get stuck at the door, so we don't need to worry about her for the moment. The robot will then proceed up the corridor, because we told him to. He will then continue to the north, because we set this turntable to go north. And he will then run into the high voltage floor. Which destroys both him and the high voltage floor. How convenient. We can then let Kaf-E out. And proceed on our merry way. Ooh, excuse me. Now, she will still stop at all the turntables, but these are already set correctly, so all we need to do is, again, dock with them, and then undock with them. You can accidentally destroy turntables as well. If you do that, fortunately you're not completely screwed, because on levels where that might happen, you tend to have this workshop item, and workshops will generate clones of any sort of destroyable systems, and you can then use your tractor beam to put them back in the right place. So if you do make a mistake, you can correct it. You don't screw yourself over, which is nice. There is also a save game function in here as well, though, so you don't have to do all 12 levels in one go. Or if you do think you get yourself into an unwinnable situation, you can load an earlier save. So Kaf-E is then going to proceed through this workshop here. You can open the door for her in advance, just like before. That message, I think, is just her telling us about the workshop I just explained. Yeah, here we are. This is a manufacturing area. Examine the circuits to see if there'll be any help. So fortunately, because we are smart, we haven't destroyed anything we shouldn't have. And so we can just proceed on our way and finish the level. So, I don't know for certain how influential this game was, but certainly the idea of an abstractly presented, flat-shaded polygon cyberspace world has been seen in a number of games since. So particularly stuff like System Shock is probably the best known example. System Shock, of course, you are the one wandering around in the real world, so you are playing both the Chad and the Kaf-E roles in that. So you go into cyberspace in order to unlock doors, manipulate electronic systems and that sort of thing, and then you go back into the real world and you do the real world stuff as well. But this was certainly a really early example of this kind of presentation of cyberspace in video games, manipulating electronic systems, abstract presentation. And because this is so abstract, it's sort of aged really well as well. This is actually a game that still looks really nice. It still runs well. This is a pretty good frame rate for a 3D game on the Atari ST. And it's still very playable today. There's still nothing quite like this game out there. And so there we are. That is Interphase. So I will leave that there for now. Save the rest of the game for you to explore. As I say, this is pretty easy to find these days because it got released on both as a commercial release and as a cover-mounted game on, I believe, ST format it was. So yeah, if this looks interesting to you, do give it a go. It's still very playable today and well worth your time. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please help out the channel by leaving a like or a comment and subscribing. New episodes of Atari A to Z are on Tuesdays and Atari ST A to Z on Thursdays. Check out atari-a-to-z.wordpress.com for a full archive. Do please also check out my other projects moegamer.net, where I explore Japanese and Japanese-inspired games from yesterday and today, and videopackgames.wordpress.com, which aims to catalogue a small but well-formed library of the Philips G7000 Videopack computer, also known as the Magnavox Odyssey 2. You can also support my work on Patreon or buy me a coffee. You can find links to do both down in the video description. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.